Hi, this is Melanie of Pardesi Reviews, and I'm here with Kathy of Cinemondo podcast again.
Hello.
And showing her first Mohan Law film. This is, we're going to talk about Thenmavin Kombath, which also stars Shobana. Okay, so we talked a little bit before we pressed record, and we're gonna talk about DDLJ on Kathy's channel. She'll be posting that soon as well. Mm-hmm. So it ended up, like you said, kind of being two, in a way, similar films where you have someone that you really love, and then someone that you're arranged to be married to, and but this film. So, Kathy, you had done, I think you said, a reaction to sort of like the greatest thespian of Mohan Law, but not really seen any of his films. And let me tell you, people, it was really hard to. The man has made, I think, over 350 films.
God.
Okay. Yeah. So I have seen quite a few, but still I am like, I'm not worthy, right? Like, I'm among the true fans. I'm like, I'm not worried. His career spans from the 1980s. This film was 1994. He and Shobana alone have done several films together. And this director, Priyadarshan, who also wrote the script, they have collaborated on some of Mohanlal's most iconic films. So, like, it's like, where do you start? But but we started with this one. I do love how much Mohan Law gets to do a little bit of everything. He was known in the 80s. He started as a villain, like a lot of villain roles, and then he moved into the hero roles. And he does comedy, he does tragedy, he does action. Although the action are by our modern sensibilities in 1994.
Yeah, that was a little rough. Yeah. I know. I'm like, well, it's not really an action movie, so I'll give him some leeway since it's supposed to be a comedy.
Yeah, it's a lot of those. Yeah, those older films, the way they did. I mean, he does it with gusto, but it's still kind of.
I know. You needed to speed that sequence up a little to make it feel more kinetic.
But for me, I just absolutely love the crackling chemistry between Mohan Law and Shobana. This film ended up winning a couple of national awards, one for cinematography. The cinematographer, his name was Anand. He went on to become a director in Tamil, the Tamil film industry. Unfortunately, he just recently passed away a couple years ago at only age 54. Wow. This was his debut film as a cinematographer. God. Incredible, right? Incredible. Like right off the bat, you win a national award. And of course, it won many Kerala State Awards. And for 1994, it was the highest grossing film of the entire year for Malayalam cinema. Yeah. So, I mean, you can see why it's such a crowd pleaser. Like, you want to go back and see it over and over again. Exactly. I don't know how many times I've seen it. This is at least, I think, the third time. And I have to admit, knowing what was coming, I hit like, like I kind of like knowing. So I've talked and kind of give the background. Let me hear what your impressions were. How did you enjoy it?
So I love that they just throw you right in the middle of the action. They set up these characters. It wasn't like this long drawn out one by one. They put you in this situation. You know, I don't how many spoilers, but you get
we can do all the spoilers. It's 1994.
I like how they had I'm gonna be probably not great on the names because this is the first time I've seen it. Yeah. Mohanlal's character and then Manicum. Is that the competition? The competition?
Manicum is Mohanlal's character's name.
Okay. Okay.
The actor Nedumudi, who is Krishnan. I will admit, because it had been many years since I had seen the film, there's probably Malayalam relationship words that weren't all translated, right? Okay. Because at the beginning, like, they're calling each other brother. Yeah. But they're not really brothers. They're actually lord and servant who are very close.
I like that.
But there were it took me a while. It was confusing. Let me just say that, because people are just kind of assuming, and I have a feeling that there were hints in
Mm.
relationship words that people used to refer to each other that
Right.
made it all crystal clear, which wasn't crystal clear
No.
in English
Yeah, I mean, I thought there
translation.
was some level one brother was more successful than the other. I wasn't
Right.
like quite sure. That's good to know, actually. But I love the chemistry between the two leads was instantaneous. Like you knew
Yeah.
instantly, okay, this is the love story right here. Because I wasn't sure
Yeah.
what I was going to see. I mean, I knew he was the star and that he was probably going to be, the main romantic lead, but you never know. And I also
Right.
just the camera work. I love the camera work because it felt pretty advanced and like almost more than a comedy needed because there's a lot of
Yeah.
great camera movement that you don't get
Yeah.
a lot in movies like that. And
Yeah.
I love where it felt very intimate and you weren't even sure where the camera was. Like how did they, but just beautiful, unique choices, I thought, in the
Right.
camera work. So that I was very drawn to the tech in this movie because it felt way
Interesting.
like over the top, not over the
Yeah.
top. It felt like I said, just felt more sophisticated than you almost needed for this kind of comedy, which I really enjoyed. A lot of tight spaces and people together,
Yeah.
and you're like, "How's the camera get?" And it
Right.
was
That's
probably like
true.
an
You like you
oversight.
don't even think about that. Like
No,
we're in that little
yeah,
bullet cart or whatever it is that
yeah,
he takes things to market and then they're writing in the back of it and you don't even think about how tight
no. And I mean,
quarters
I'm
that
assuming,
was.
like in Hollywood, they just basically cut it in half, and then it's just
Right.
half a cart. But it just didn't really read like that at all. Like, really well done. And you were talking about the language and the words for things, and then what's funny is that in the movie there's that scene where she uses a different language and he doesn't understand what she's saying
Right.
when she's trying to get him to kiss her,
She's teasing
being
him.
very evil about it because
Right.
it was like she
Right.
knew full well he was like what, and so he didn't. So that I think my favorite part was him not knowing what it meant and trying to figure it out and use it. So he keeps using it and getting all this trouble because he keeps telling people to kiss him and he doesn't understand what he's asking them to do, which I
Right.
thought was really funny. And
Yeah.
he did it really well because he looks like a big kid to me, like especially the
Yes.
way he played it, very vulnerable. So I love that he's going around, he looks like this lovable kid and he's saying this stuff. People are like, get out of here, what are you was so funny. He's like, why am I offending everyone with this? But should I be offended she said this to me? It was a really cute moment, and I've never seen that before. I mean, it was
Yeah.
you think in romantic comedies you've seen it all, right? But
Right.
that was really fun. So I enjoyed that. I like, the gentleness of the comedy, but then also there's that little edge to it because you had all the politics and you had the weird hierarchy issues
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the fact, the usual, like she's promised to someone else and they say who's there. So,
Right.
and the competition between the two characters, the other man and wonder, and then
Yeah.
and she almost sort of was playing them against each other a little bit, which was kind of interesting.
Well,
Also.
I mean, seeing it, like I said, for whichever time this was, I see how there's so much about miscommunication. You brought
Yes.
up one thing about language, but also Nedumudi's character, the Lord's
Yeah.
character, who just assumes that anyone he would approach would obviously want him as a
Of
husband,
course. I'm rich
right?
and powerful.
And then he just kind of walks away and doesn't even wait to hear Shobana's reply.
Right.
The first time when they're at like a river or something,
Yep.
and he's kind of shyly behind the cart talking to her.
Yeah.
I think she's washing clothes, or I don't even remember what she was doing, but and he doesn't wait even to hear her reply, and so there's all this miscommunication, and then they make the decision. Let's go. Between Mohanlal and Shobana when they come back after their adventures alone. They come back to the farm and then it's like, oh, let's keep it secret. Well, then that creates even more miscommunication and more issues. So, I know. And then, so other fun fact. So the guy who's the villain, the guy who's the other servant who's jealous of Mohan Law because the girl he likes only has eyes for Mohan Law.
Yeah.
And Mohan Law is always brushing her off. Yeah. That actor's name is Sreenivasan. Okay. And he is not only a wonderful comedic actor, frequently taking these kind of villain roles, but he's a noted producer and director in his own right. Funny. Of course he is, right?
That's the way it works.
It's Malayalam.
Exactly.
Right?
Everybody knows everybody and they do everything.
Right. And his son is now an up-and-coming director. So,
what? That's shocking.
His son is a famous actor and his son. I know.
The family is involved in the business.
I'm really shocking you with all these revelations. But anyway.
It's good to know.
but it's almost like a theater ensemble because there's so many different movies where Mohanlal's the Lord and Nedumudi is the servant, or whatever.
Okay.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, these actors have played opposite each other in so many different variations and so many different movies, and they've worked with this particular director, Priyadarshan, so many different times as well. But it's just, I don't know. This one is particularly delicious. There's Sreenivasan, so he's just so evil, like
so bad. I like the way they showed also the politics of the village, because you think it's this little village, everybody gets along. No, they have this whole like court that they have that votes on people's lives. It's like, what? Get out of here. That was really funny. I mean,
that shows it's sort of like the landowners not only had all of this impact on everyone's financial life by hiring them or not hiring them or whatever, but also, like you say, literally sat in judgment of them.
Yeah. Just like, what? And everyone's, and you can see why they're like, we got to get out of here. You know, we got to get out of this. And it's sad because you think if everybody just sort of been supportive, less judgmental. I mean, it was literally like a court. I am the king and I'm going to, say yes or no. And it just, I guess, there's always the power struggle between the haves and have-nots. And the haves always want to dictate how everyone else lives. That's just, politics. But I liked how they scaled it down into this smaller dichotomy of relationships between everybody's living together, but they're also not in a way because, you work for me and I call the shots,
they're family, and yet when it comes really down to it, they're not family, right? Like, because
we're all getting along, right?
You can get so fooled at the beginning the way Mohan Law treats the Lord and his sister. He treats them as if they're family. So that's what I said initially. Literally, I was sitting here looking up the Wikipedia to confirm, wait a minute, they're not really family in some way, are they? I had to confirm it, because they treat each other that way. Yeah. But yet, I think he's more just, Mohanlal's character is more distraught that the woman of the Lord's house, that she doesn't believe him, that she could possibly believe that he would kill him. That was like the devastating blow of like, finally, like, okay, then I just have to leave this village. There's nothing here for me at all.
I loved her too. I just kept putting their hand on her head and they were like, okay, you copy. He's like, no, it was just one pot that he broke. Of course, it was one pot under a bunch of other pots, and she kept like getting more and more of the two. It was very, very funny. Classic comedy scene. I loved that. That was classic vaudeville. I loved it. So that was very cute. I mean, and that died, and so it seemed so friendly, and it seemed very like mischievous and fun. And then you find out, it's not exactly equal or fun. It's like
I do admit, like the first 45 minutes or so, I was getting a little restless because Shobana wasn't on screen yet. Yeah, and there was so much setup, but then the last hour, I realized, okay, we needed the race scene to prove that Mohan Law is the best driver and what it's going to mean for him to give that up at the end. Yeah. Because, that then his former family would be on this, he's like, he knew he would win. He knew he would win. Everyone in the village knew he would win. Yeah. So you have to kind of understand what's the impact of that decision, or seeing him give the sari to the Lord's sister and how that's a ritual every holiday, and that when they're estranged and the only the Lord is keeping them apart, like that, what a big deal it is for then the Lord to just throw it at, like he can't even cross the threshold onto their land anymore. And so he's just kind of, so all of those scenes will only have an impact if you've had the setup. But it is a long setup, way more than we're used to in a lot of films, right?
I know. I was like, when does the romance part start? I thought this was a rom-com. It's like it took a long time. Every time a woman showed up on screen, is that the one? Is that the one? I wasn't sure. And it was confusing because there was that woman, like you said, the one who wanted to be with him, and he's like, whatever, get out of here. And I was like, what? Why is he being so mean to her? It's like he's supposed to be with her. Oh yeah, not her. Different woman. Her.
I mean, when she comes on, this is it.
I know. And I did love the cart scenes. They were like my favorite because like they're sitting in carts like it's like this. Everybody's like, that does not look fun on those dirt roads. It was really funny. It was really cute.
Yeah, I loved. There was always like this shot, like of the lantern swinging
Yes.
underneath.
Oh my god, I would be so seasick if I was done with that trip. Like, I'll just walk behind the car. I don't know if I want to do this.
I just do have to say, like, this is definitely from an era when you didn't show an on-screen kiss,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
the kiss scene when he starts running and the pot falls into the water
so
and her beads go everywhere.
Yeah. The roll.
Like, it's epic.
It was so good.
Epic. Like, way to have some visual euphemisms for what is happening.
Yeah, it's like, oh, yeah, I know. I love that scene because that's the fastest I've ever seen anyone move in a movie. It's like, he's like running at the hill, like, I get it now. Just running at. Like, that's what it means. I love that he found out kind of accidentally. He just kind of was eavesdropping. All this time he'd been talking to people using that word and getting the shit kicked out of him. Right?
The sweetest circumstance of a mom with her little child.
Yeah.
Come on, give me a kiss. Give me a kiss.
And he's like, that's what it means. It was so funny. That was great.
I will admit that's one of my, like, of all cinema, that's one up there in my favorite scenes.
It was so
cute. And I have just, like, you can just see that clip on YouTube alone, and I have rewatched it. We're not even going to discuss how many times because I just
so funny.
love it, especially the pot just clang, clang, clang.
So funny.
All the Foley stuff in there.
It was really cute. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, there's the scene, this is one of the cringe scenes that don't age well, when they're in the cart, she's asleep, and he starts, like, touching her. Not her, not Mohanlal.
Right.
The competition.
Nedumudi,
yeah. He starts guy. Like, oh, look at her feet. Starts putting his hand on her feet and just like, oh, dude.
Okay, well, I also think that's a difference of their characters because I don't think Mohanlal's character, even in a 1994 movie, would have done that, right?
Right.
And I think that's also an example of she's a dancer girl. Yeah. Okay, so she's lower class. She's a dancing girl. He feels like he has that right to do that.
Yeah.
And so even if this was a 2023 movie, his kind of character, I think, might still have those kind of actions.
Definitely.
And it shows he thinks he has that right to touch her without asking for her permission. Yeah. So
it did show the difference between the two characters too. Like, very, very stark where he could barely even, get the kiss thing alone. And you feel like that he would never like approach her like that without her knowing, without consent. Right. I thought that also, like, you showed the honor between the two characters, one that had it and one that didn't.
I mean, even when he's accused of rape, he's like, okay, if this woman is pregnant, then I will take care of this baby.
Yeah.
But if she's not, like, I mean, so I love the way he kind of threaded the needle on that horrible situation. Like, he wasn't going to leave her out there. He never, like, denounced her, or in the court he doesn't say she's a liar. He just but then privately he's like singing the song about the lying cuckoo bird, like, thief, the thief. She just can't take it anymore.
And it was a pretty dark turn for a movie that's sort of a rom-com. Like, it takes that.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of these films where you get at least half the film is madcap comedy, and then we get into the dark.
You get the drama.
The drama.
There's stakes. There's stakes here. Yeah, that's what I've noticed a lot in Indian cinema. They aren't afraid to change the tone to bring in that full rounded experience of getting everything in a movie that you could possibly want.
This is definitely a movie that gives you everything. You got really crazy comedy. Yep. You got a lot of favorite actors. Yeah. And you've got Shobana has some really great dance numbers. Mm-hmm. And then you do get action scenes, which, I sort of feel like her evil brother was kind of just like the plot device. Like, okay, Mohanlal really can't beat up his former master, almost brother.
That's true.
That way.
That's true.
But it also is a turning point of, like, okay, this is the point. He's beating up him. Then I'm going to leap in there. Like, we were totally estranged and he won't speak to me, but I'm going to save his life. Exactly.
It's like, still my brother. As terrible as he is. So I was kind of like, what are you doing? Like, no. But, that's that, the deeper honor versus the superficial kind of disagreements or whatever, not even superficial, but the crevices in the relationships in a lot of families, and like, even though they're these huge estranged moments, they still ultimately are blood, and they will
Right.
need when they're there. They need them. They will be there to
Well,
beat up people.
I mean, you'll relate. I showed my sister and my brother-in-law who are visiting RRR this week, and
Oh, nice.
so that was on my mind as well, right? Like
Yeah,
two brothers who
that's
then
right.
one thinks one is betrayed, and all of this, and then a reconciliation.
Yeah.
So I was
How
thinking
they
about
like it?
they really liked it.
Was
They
it their
really liked
first
it.
Indian film?
It was not their first.
Okay.
I had forgotten that one year I sort of forced my sister by, oh, it's your birthday. Here, I'm sending you a bunch of DVDs that you didn't even ask for.
She's like, "Hey, thanks for all these Indian films." That's
No,
funny.
but they
Okay.
remember. So they have seen just a handful, and
Okay.
they had never seen a Rajamouli film. So
Oh,
I
okay.
think I mainly had sent them. I showed them Okay Kanmani, the Dulquer film, and then
Yeah.
and then I had sent them like Three Idiots. I don't know if you've seen that, but
Yeah, yeah.
you've I think reacted to that.
Yeah.
So that was the one who my brother-in-law, who's a teacher, really liked. But anyway,
Yeah.
it
Can
just
see
made me
why.
think about all of this intense brother
Yeah.
relationship that we're seeing again on screen.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this director, Priyadarshan, I highly recommend his film Kalapani, which also
Okay.
stars Mohan Law.
Okay.
And Amrish Puri, who was the dad in DDLJ, he
Yeah.
plays. So it means black water, and Mohan Law is a prisoner in like what was a real life sort of um Alcatraz kind of prison on an
Oh,
island. Okay.
okay.
And so it's like a prison escape movie, and Amrish
Oh.
Puri plays one of the evil guards. Intense. And
Oh.
he has a recent movie with Mohan Law called Marakar. Don't highly recommend it quite as highly, but it's a
Mm.
big historical epic where Mohan Law plays like one of the first admirals of Kerala Navy. So
Oh, okay.
with big naval battles and everything.
All right. All right.
But anyway, my point is Priyadarshan is still making movies and on a huge scale, but I like this
The little comedies.
smaller intimate scale and this magic.
Can't blame them for wanting to try because
All
people
right.
love those.
So I hope this will be your first of many Mohan Law
Yes.
films. And of course, because Kathy, if you don't know, in her real life, for pay, her full-time job is to make movie posters. And
Right.
so we always talk about movie posters. So here is
Oh, yeah. Okay.
this
You
is
can
the
tell this is,
classic.
yeah.
Now, what I love about this is that Shobana is so big. And I
Yeah.
love her kind of the way she's looking towards Mohanlal. It shows kind of the sauciness of her character.
That's a great shot. I mean, these are all from it looks like they're all from the movie or
Yeah.
unit, as we call it. Like, it could be
Right.
unit or even screen grabs, but I love his dumbfounded expression and hers
Yes.
together. Like,
You're right.
that is like the perfect little, dynamic. You can totally get everything. But yeah, that's very interesting that they would put him so small next to her, even though he's very prominent.
Right.
It's very interesting. But that's such a great shot. I mean, if you have a choice between this beautiful woman on this poster looking
Yeah.
perfect expression, you want to make
Yeah.
it bigger. And then of course the other guys are kind of an afterthought. Just gotta
Right.
stick them in there.
Yeah, they're in there too.
They're
And
in
then
there.
this one may have been for the DVD or something because you can see
Yeah.
it has all of the awards
Oh yeah,
kind of shown on there. So but I think
yeah.
that's the shot of him when he was on the tree and he was all tied up and like kind of in his most goofy.
That is very strange to see that with her behind him looking like she's gonna kill him.
Like you said, what?
Oh my god. So they got some great expressions from these people. Yeah, this is the classic, award sell,
Yeah.
poster where you gotta put a lot of times we just do reviews, a bunch of
Yeah.
reviews on posters, especially when it's getting close to award time.
Yeah.
We gotta remind everyone how good your movie is. But
Right.
that's a cute picture in the bottom too. I mean, this feels like the movie. Well, I mean, most of
Yeah.
the movie. This is a
Yeah.
good one. Yeah. The other
And
one
this
almost felt
one,
actiony. Oh
this
god.
one must have been like a newspaper ad or something. I just
Yeah.
thought it was funny that they were advertising it with showing him on the tree. But I mean, again, they're like, it's an entertainer. It's, and I had
Yeah.
to share this one. This
Aw.
is a recent selfie of Shobana and Mohan Law, which is
Aw.
really cute. And she posted it on Instagram, like 36 years of friendship.
That's super
So,
cute. Oh, that's great. Yeah, because they're iconic. Like they become an iconic, team on screen. So
yeah. And I
people,
had,
even though time goes by, they never forget.
I had shared with you a dance. Shobana won a national award for their film
Yes.
together. Manachitra Talu, the one where she's kind of going insane or
Love
maybe
that.
possessed by a ghost or whatever. So
That was amazing.
they're in that one together, but not really. Yeah,
Together.
not the same kind of romantic lead.
Together, but not together.
Anyway, highly recommend that film
Yeah.
as well. But anyway, I'm glad. So I know you have seen. Have you seen some Mammootty films or just watched trailers? I can't remember.
I've seen some Mammootty films, like Rorschach. I saw that, which I loved. I'm pursuing his sort of crimey ones, so I have seen that. I've seen a couple more. I'd have to check my notes, but yeah, he reminds me a little bit of that. He's a lot more gravitas. It feels like, but kind of a similar sort of command the screen kind of
Yeah.
presence. So yeah, I
Well,
really like that.
in the same way, in Hindi cinema, someone defines themselves by which fandom they're in. Are
Oh,
you
okay.
Are you a Shah Rukh Khan? Are you a Salman Khan? Or are you an Amir Khan? In
Oh,
Malayalam
yeah.
cinema, because these two men, Mammootty and Mohan Law, have dominated Malayalam cinema since the
Oh,
80s, it's really like which one. And I do like both. I lean, I
yeah.
think, a little bit more towards Mohan Law, but I really admire what Mammootty has been doing, especially
Yeah.
lately. He's made
Yes.
some really bold choices, creative
Yeah.
choices, and as much as I am a Mohan Law fan, I have to admit that he's been more uneven recently. Like,
Right. Yeah.
I don't think he's taking the risks that Mammootty has been taking.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
you know,
I admire
okay,
it when actors do that because it's hard for them to take chances when they're feeling like they're in their zone and they're
right.
successful. It's hard to kind of take a step back and do that. So yeah, I lean. I mean, I haven't seen enough of Mahal Mahamal.
Mohan Law.
But Mammootty's much easier to say. But yeah, I lean toward Mammootty because I like his kind of indie crime lean in a few of his films. But I
Yeah.
do want to see more, so you're gonna just have to give me some assignments.
Well, and the fun thing is, I think the two of them were together in 55 films. So, like, it just.
Oh, how did the screen not explode if they were the same
I
scene?
don't know.
Oh my god! Oh, that would be
Yeah.
almost too much.
I mean, the pace that they make these movies, or at least that they did in the 80s and 90s, when they must have, to amass, even from going from the 80s to amass that many films.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to make like 4 or 5 a year or some crazy number.
God,
Like,
constantly working.
I can't even. I mean, Bollywood used to be the same way because, I mean, looking at DDLJ, Shah Rukh was doing half the day on DDLJ and half the day on another movie. Like, he was doing them at the same time.
Unreal. It's like, I guess it happens sometimes, but like I just watched the Michael J. Fox documentary and they talked about how he was doing Back to the Future, which I'm sure even Indian audiences have seen that. It's massive, iconic film. And at the same time was doing his TV series. So he was shooting, that's why it didn't even occur to me a lot of
Ties,
right. So he was shooting that during the day, shooting that at night. He literally like got no sleep for like 3 months or something. Like he felt like he was sort of in a place where he didn't really know where he was anymore and he wasn't sure. But it doesn't come in a way. It kind of works in his favor for Back to the Future because it was sort of disorienting. Yeah. But I thought that was kind of fascinating. Like, how do you do that?
Yeah, there was a lot of that film that was shot at night. So I could see how in a way that would work if you think about, because it was the whole thing with the lightning to make the car go and everything. So there was a lot of night shoots.
Isn't that
though.
crazy?
That's bizarro world.
That's insane.
The way TV shows, at least back in the day, were shot, it's like there was a season, and then generally actors had the summer off to film other projects. But this may have been aimed, I don't remember when Back to the Future came out, but it probably was aimed to be a summer film. So they probably wanted it filmed so that it could release during the height of the summer.
And I'm sure because it was all shot on a stage, so he probably just ran from one set to the other because most of Back to the Future shot on Universal lot. So he's probably like, where am I? What's that? So that was sort of a diversion, but I can see how these actors, when they're cranking these out, like even SRK, who you said was doing 2 movies at the same time, that's just got to be. They can't do that anymore. I mean, I can't imagine being able to sustain that.
Shah Rukh evidently doesn't really sleep. Like from everything.
Apparently.
I mean, literally, I think he only sleeps a few hours a night. Like just that, he is just so intense, and that's just part of his personality. So,
well, and he's working out. Apparently, it looks like he works out probably 8 hours a day because nobody looks like that naturally.
Not at his age.
I mean, that's impressive as hell. Oh my god.
I mean, as you'll see, Malayalam's heroes, especially from the era of the 80s and 90s, did not have to work for bodies like that.
They were just cute, nice guys. Just kind of not the big, scary, buffed out dudes. I know the standard.
Anyway, well, you have many more films to explore.
Many more.
Thank you for taking a chance on a Malayalam film. I hope this gave you a good taste. And then, like I said, there's many more great ones to explore.
I love Malayalam.
Both Mohanlal and Mammootty. I am biased, but I will. Both of them are absolutely fantastic. And
I'll be getting more recommendations from you.
Okay. And Shobana is a goddess. Yes. And you should follow her on Instagram because she has started a dance school. And I absolutely love the Instagram stories that she posts of dances that she's teaching, or, you know, she teaches how to do the hand mudras or whatever. So
love it.
Definitely, she is awesome. She continues to be awesome.
Always awesome. I love it.
All right. So you need to check out Kathy's channel, Cinemondo Podcast. And as I said, we're going to be discussing DDLJ. So look forward to that coming soon.
And lots of other collabs I've done with Melanie are there.
Absolutely. That's true. We have been doing some Hindi movies here on my channel. And so, yes, we have, but we're splitting them up. So there's a bunch on Kathy's channel as well of these fun conversations. And you can find me on Twitter at PardeziYT and on Instagram at Pardesi Reviews. And of course, hit the bell when you subscribe to both of our channels so you'll never miss anything.
Subscribe.
Subscribe.
That's right.